In the future, your dog will tell you how to survive. Or you will die.
Hello, welcome to Cynic Critique, where we get real with cult films. I'm your host, Thomas. I'm here with my brother and co-host, my bro-host, Brian. Hello! This week we're looking at more cult favourite sci-fi, with 1975's A Boy and His Dog, 2010's The Book of Eli, 2015's Turbo Kid, along with the Amazon Prime series adaptation of Fallout from earlier this year. So we'll be starting with A Boy and His Dog. Yeah, maybe should have prefaced sci-fi with post-apocalyptic. I never thought of that when I wrote the intro. I'm not reading it again.
A Boy and His Dog. A film that has become a cult legend.
Right now I'm hungry and I want to get laid.
That's what you always say.
You go find a chick and I'll hustle us up some food.
I can't do good work when I'm hungry.
So, A Boy and His Dog is from 1975, directed by Justice McQueen, but is credited as L.Q. Jones. It's written by Justice McQueen and Wayne Kruse-Turner. Yeah, he's uncredited. It's based on a book by Harlan Ellison, who's a famous sci-fi writer. It stars Don Johnson as Vic, Susan Benton as Willa June Holmes, Jason Robards as Lou Braddock, Tim McIntyre as the voice of Blood, which is the dog, and the dog is played by Tiger. Then Alvy Moore as Dr. Moore. He's also the producer of this film, or one of the producers. The plot, as IMDb describes it, is a young man and his telepathic dog wander a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Which doesn't put it better myself. The movie had a budget of $400,000 US, and according to Google, it ran regularly for 7 years at repertory houses until it had a general re-release in 1982 with a box office worth more than $6 million to that time. And then it says plus $900,000 from a recent test reruns nationwide. Be safe to say it probably made $7 million, which isn't too bad going. No. This film is a big influence on the Fallout video games, but it also influenced other post-apocalyptic films like Mad Max and the others we're discussing today. Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, I would say so, definitely. It sounds like an endearing Disney film in a sense, which there are actually some books, I believe, called Boy and His Dog Stories, or something like that, by a writer called Albert Payson Terhune? I'm not sure if I wrote the name down or I'm struggling to read my writing. Probably that one. Which is actually referenced within this film because the dog Blood calls Vic Albert in reference to that writer. Ah, right. Also, before we get going, yes, it's obvious the dog's talking in a sense. If you haven't seen the film, I did say in the description it's telepathic. It talks to Vic telepathically. There's no explanation for that in the film. In the novel, I believe it's explained by scientists experimenting with dolphin spinal fluid or something in 70s experiments. Of course, why not? People seem to know this in the film, and I don't particularly remember it getting discussed, but this is in a world where JFK never got assassinated, and it's set not just after World War III, but World War IV. And I don't remember him saying much about a World War IV in the film, but I'm pretty sure Vic, Don Johnson's character, mentioned a World War III very early on. Yeah, so I'm not too sure. Well, that might be the difference between this and the book. I'm not sure. I don't particularly think so. I believe the author of the book was very happy with this film. Yeah. This film won a Hugo Award. The writer was already quite prolific and had some Hugo Awards and insisted that he should have a Hugo Award for this film as well because it's based on his book. They didn't have any to give him, so they just give him a base of a Hugo Award. So he says he has however many Hugo Awards and a half, this being the half. Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to share that because it's quite funny. He said he was happy with this film, but he's famously unhappy with the final line of the film. Yeah, apparently, yeah. Which I'm not going to say what that is. Oh, the director of this, McQueen, or as he's called for this film, L.Q. Jones, he appears as a porno actor somewhere in this film. And he's also an actor in one of your favourite 90s films, The Edge. Hang on. Ding ding. He also appears in The Mask of Zorro and Casino. Before this, he directed a film called The Devil's Bedroom in 1964, and he'd gone on to direct one episode of the Incredible Hulk TV series that starred, I can't remember his name.
Bill Bixby.
That's the guy. Yeah, he directed an episode or 2 episodes of that, and he appears in 1 or 2 episodes of that as well. It's also edited by Scott Conrad, which might not ring a bell to everybody. He didn't work on many famous films, but the standout film that everyone will know is Rocky. This was the 4th film he edited. Rocky was his 5th, and I can't remember what his first 3 films were. I hadn't heard of him.
Well, his 4th and 5th are great.
Exactly, and he's gone on to edit some other films that you'd probably recognise the names of, but they're not to the calibre of Rocky or to the importance of this film, A Boy and His Dog. I say importance because this is apparently seen as the first post-apocalyptic sci-fi film.
Yeah, even if it's not that, I think it is the one to have the desert wasteland type.
Yeah, it's definitely a quintessential one.
Yeah, it's huge for that.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's influenced other things we're discussing today. So
Yeah, definitely. Something interesting about this, though, is they had the trailer, I don't know if you saw this, was to be edited in the same style as Clockwork Orange's trailer.
yeah,
I don't know why. I'm not sure if it's the correct Clockwork Orange trailer I watched, because they'd done some re-release trailers for coming to Blu-rays and other releases. So I did search for the original trailer. I think it was the original trailer, but I can't really see how the trailer for A Boy and His Dog was edited like that trailer, which has me questioning I maybe watched the wrong trailer.
maybe so.
Oh, that's what I was saying about the film's title sounding quite endearing, almost like a Disney film and whatnot, isn't it?
Yeah.
On the original poster, or the poster that IMDb displays, it says an R-rated, rather kinky tale of survival. No, R-rated, I think, just due to content.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was kinky.
It's about a boy and his dog. It don't get any kinkier.
Oh, that was something. The idea is that he hunts for the dog because the dog says that he's lost his abilities to hunt since having this new telepathic powers or something. That's something that gets explained in the book apparently as well. But the dog is helping him find a female because in this world, females are very rare because while all the men were fighting, apparently, the women were basically in the blast range of the water. Oh, the interesting thing about this film, it's perfect to discuss this year because it's set this year, 2024.
Nice. So we should have been through 1 or 2 more world wars.
2 more world wars. Dogs should be telepathic. Not all dogs, but there should be some dogs that are telepathic. But it looks like in our timeline, JFK got assassinated and saved us from a post-apocalyptic landscape with telepathic dogs. And I'll be honest, I don't know if I'm pleased or a little irked.
You just want telepathic dogs or a desert wasteland?
Both.
All right.
There's something called screamers. We don't see them in the film. They're in the book, but it sounds like they're some sort of mutated creature that are a threat to the human survival as well.
Sounds about right.
Because the dog Blood fakes a screaming noise, doesn't he, at one point in the film?
Yeah.
And it makes the raiders, I forgot what they call the raiders in this film now. They're not called raiders, are they?
Don't think so. I'm not sure what they call them.
But they're like groups of people that scavenge together, aren't they, really?
Scavengers?
No, they have like a little like name that they get called. I can't remember what it is, sadly. And I don't see it in my notes. That was silly of me. So, do you want to share your thoughts on this?
I do appreciate it for being an absolute huge influence for many things like this. And it is a great film by all means, but I do kind of agree it does slow right down when it goes to the underground.
Is it the Down Under they call it?
They call it the underground, don't they?
Oh, I thought they called it the Down Under.
Well, apparently the writer, Harlan Ellison, he said that they kind of captured that right in the film because it's supposed to be that sort of
boring,
you don't want to be down
environment.
Yeah, and apparently people weren't happy with that answer, but I can see both sides of it.
I get it, but
it's still an enjoyable
big
film.
part of the film.
No, it's still an enjoyable film anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm not really
It's got that sense of humour to it, and
oh yeah,
the only really like nice character is Blood. Everyone else is a bit of a,
yeah. Vic himself isn't really a great guy, is he?
No. Again, I think that's more explained in the books. He's pretty much raised by himself. His parents have died. It's kind of him being the animal and the dog being the civilized, which is a nice little twist.
Yeah.
Because the dog's quite smart and references loads of little books and stuff.
Yeah. Does it reference where they meet?
Oh, I'm not sure. I think it does say where they met. Why, have you written it down somewhere from your notes or something?
No, I was just asking now because I realised that I just don't know. You were just on about how you raised them. I don't really know how these two met.
There's some really good comedic moments in this, but it's maybe not for everyone because when Vic says he wants to find a woman, it is simply just for the sake of having sex, whether it's rape or not.
Yeah. He's a sick individual.
He pretty much tries to rape Quilla when they first meet. For some reason, he's watching her get dressed, isn't he? And then he decides to pounce all of a sudden, and that's when a group of raiders come.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know for everyone, there is a dog fight in this, and I don't know how exactly they got the dogs to fight, but I read somewhere that the dogs were muzzled.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that they're not actually aggressively trying to go at it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So again, it's not for everyone. I know some people will want a warning about that.
Yeah. You were there, and I want to see those dogs fight.
I'm all for bloodshed.
I know you're going to say I'm all for blood.
Also, in that scene where where you see her getting dressed, there are some really, really big old fake cobwebs.
Yeah.
Like some of the massive and most fakest cobwebs you can see. And it's really weird because the rest of the environment looks quite clean.
Yeah. It is poor set design, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. Again, budgetary though.
Yeah. Yeah. And everything else, I think, looks pretty good. There's not much I can fault this film on, really.
No, like I said, there's a good sense of humour in this, and I actually quite like that last line. It is a good bit.
Yeah. I remember when I first watched it, it caught me by surprise. Quite funny.
There is a scene where it's when they go down into that down under.
Underground, yeah.
Yeah, you see Vic stepping down. It's a massive ladder down, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And apparently it took 2 hours to film. Or was it more than that? I can't remember now.
If it was more than 2 hours, I'll be shocked.
The scene isn't even a minute, I don't think.
No. You'd think the ladders were either shorter or really long and they just didn't have the cameras to like move up or something.
I don't know.
You think they struggled to move the camera up with it or something? I don't know. I can't think of the scene.
I don't think the camera really moved. It's like just stationary at the top
Yeah.
as he climbs down a large shaft.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's quite funny when they get down under, though. You say it slows down, but there's some really odd things about it.
Oh, yeah.
Because they start bathing him when he joins, and they give him, like, some denim dungarees.
Yeah.
They've all got, like, their faces are all, like, white powdered almost. Some people say, like, clowns, but I think it's similar to what some of the actors wore in the silent era of film.
Yeah.
Because obviously not everyone knows when it's black and white, but they used to powder their faces in a particular way.
Yeah.
And I'd say it's more reminiscent of that, which I find quite weird. And obviously they've climbed all the way down, but it's so bright down there, it's almost daylight. So Christ knows what they've got for lighting, and they've got regular trees. There's trees down there.
Yeah.
Because Vic and her are hid behind a tree at one point.
Yeah. They've created like a little town sort of thing. It is really bizarre when it gets down there. Like I say, it kind of slows down because I do enjoy the environment in the wasteland a lot more, but it doesn't mean that isn't as good. It just means...
I just think it is a contrast to what we just had.
Yeah. So, and I think if you are enjoying that first bit, then that second bit, it does catch you off guard, and that's what it's supposed to be there for anyway.
Exactly, and I think that's what's pretty decent. And also, going back to Fallout, this is clearly the concept of the vaults in the Fallout games.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the Fallout creators, I don't know their names, and I never wrote them down. They have actually cited this film on numerous occasions in interviews and stuff.
Yeah, like I said, everyone that does these sort of desert wasteland, they will just say where the influence came from, and it's this.
Yeah, if anyone's read the book, I haven't read it. I'm going to buy it at some point very soon, I think. There are some short story sequels and other like short stories set within the world, but he also did a comic book sequel, and I can't remember what that's called. I think it's called Vic and Blood.
That sounds good.
A little continuation of their characters from this film. It can get pricey if you want to buy it. I've been looking for it myself after watching this. It was originally in black and white, and then they reprinted it in colour a few years later, and then into a graphic novel, I think, in the late 90s.
Yeah, I imagine that is pretty good then.
There was a re-release with some of the other short stories adapted into the comic book as well, and along with Vic and Blood. So it's a more of like a compendium.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find for a good price because I am trying. If anybody finds it and would like to donate it, please get in touch. I'm desperate. I really enjoyed the sense of humour in this film.
Oh, yeah.
It's not constant, but like when it's there, there's some golden moments, and I think it's mostly just the bickering between Blood and Vic.
Yeah, definitely.
For all their bickering, like, it's obvious they love each other, which is great. Like, it's just pure friendship between them, really, isn't it? They don't realise it until a certain point in the film.
Yeah.
And it seems to be the whole point of that film to me is like, if you haven't got friendship, you haven't really got anything.
I thought it was a dog is a man's best friend.
Exactly. Anything else you want to say about this? I feel like I've talked a lot about this one.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I just realised I never shared a fact about somebody that worked on the music. It's Doors keyboardist, Ray Manzarek. He features like helping in the music department.
Yeah.
I wish I'd said that sooner.
30 winters ago, the war tore a hole in the sky. Only a few survived. Our only hope is in my hands.
So jumping from 2024 to, I don't know when this one was set. I was going to say jumping from 2024 to, but like I said, I don't know when this was set.
This one I don't think said anywhere it's set. That's why.
Anyway, I guess then from 1975 to 2010, The Book of Eli.
Yeah, the Book of Eli, directed by Albert and Alan Hughes, written by Gary Whitta, starring Denzel Washington as Eli, Mila Kunis as Solara, Ray Stevenson as Redbridge, and Gary Oldman as Carnegie. And the description of IMDb: a drifter fights his way across a ravaged post-apocalyptic America while protecting a sacred book that holds the secrets to humanity's salvation.
Okay, it's kind of what the film is.
Yeah, you seem confused by the plot.
Yeah, it just makes it sound like there's a whole lot more action than you get.
It's just a lot of Denzel walking about with his sunglasses on.
Yeah, to be fair, the action in this is pretty decent when you get it.
Oh, yeah.
This had a budget for $80 million and the box office was $157.1 million.
Oh, it's a double. Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say it probably made its money back. I don't remember the marketing for this being everywhere, so it was probably, because they say you should double a budget to actually work out for marketing, because the marketing is apparently equal to the budget.
Yeah.
You left off a couple of cast members that I noted.
All right.
But I noted them because I have a bit of trivia about them.
All right.
It's Malcolm McDowell. He's credited as Lombardi.
Yep.
Oh, I've got 3 cast members you never said.
Yeah.
Michael Gambon as George and Francis Delator, if I've said that right, as Martha. It was just Malcolm McDowell who was uncredited.
Right.
They're not big players in the film, but they're a reference to a play by Edward Albee called Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which you might have heard of.
Yeah.
It's quite a famous play. I haven't seen it, but I think there's a movie adaptation. But the idea in that play is that George and Martha are like a sarcastic sort of reference to George and Martha Washington, who were the father and mother, in sarcastic quotations, of the USA.
Right.
So if you think about their characters in the film, which I don't want to spoil, it kind of feeds that metaphor. And I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had this note about the film as well, but it was on the 2007's most liked unmade scripts on the blacklist.
Yeah.
Going back to the writer and directors that you mentioned, the Hughes brothers who direct this, they're famous for a couple of very famous 90s films, Menace to Society and Dead Presidents.
Yeah.
They also adapted Alan Moore's From Hell graphic novels, which starred Johnny Depp. I can't remember who else now. And it's basically Jack, could have been. And that was about Jack the Ripper. But they also, each of them, direct one episode in the 3-part Continental John Wick spin-off series.
All right.
Yeah, and the writer, Gary Whitta, I think is a Marmite writer because he does After Earth and Rogue One.
Yeah.
A lot of people love Rogue One and nobody liked After Earth.
No. But this, people seem to like, so.
As far as I'm aware, the people that have watched this like it.
Yeah.
And I remember really loving it in the cinema the first time.
Yeah, I did as well.
And then there's a certain reveal towards the end. And I think once you know that, the film isn't as interesting.
No.
Because watching it my second time, I didn't find it as interesting. I think it's a film that you remember particularly well. You know what I mean? So it's when you're watching it again, there's not the same enjoyment from it. I think you get more fun from not knowing what's happening next.
Yeah.
And I feel I could share a lot of spoilers with this, talking about it, which would ruin it for anybody that hasn't seen it. Or I can just try and work around spoilers. There's a lot of stuff in here that I feel might spoil it that I put in my notes. I don't know. This doesn't spoil it, though. The person that Denzel Washington trained with, because apparently he did all his own stunts in the fight scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he trained by Dan Inosanto, I think it is.
Yeah.
Who was trained by Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
And he was in, I think it's A Game of Death with Bruce Lee. He had a part in that. But he's also done stunt work on other films.
Right.
I've got stuff that isn't going to spoil the film. Like, there's a thug at some point, because Denzel's going around with a shotgun on his back and in his backpack.
Yeah.
Have you got this as well?
Yeah.
You want to share it?
Yeah, I'll share it. Why not? The thug mentions about how the guns are never loaded, and it's a reference to Mad Max, who kind of negotiates with an unloaded shotgun as well.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty decent.
It was, that's why I noted it. If we're only references, we might as well say there is a boy and his dog poster in this film.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say where. I'll let people try and spot it. And another thing to a boy and his dog is a gunman who uses the same rifle as Vic. It's is it a Mannlicher or something?
Yeah, that's
rifle.
what I've written.
I'll get corrected on that by a certain someone.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Mr. Know It All of Calibers.
Yeah. You mentioned about the look of this film. I don't know if that comes down to the cinematographer or not, with the tints and everything and all that. So
I'm not sure if it's a tint thing, and I can't seem to find much on it. But the colours are very washed out.
yeah. Would that be to do with the cinematographer though, or is that just an editing or director's choice?
I would say that's more of a director's choice, along with cinematographer on recommendation of lighting and so on, and tints and so on. And I don't know if it's done by tinting or a post-production process where they bleach the films and stuff.
Yeah. The cinematographer was Don Burgess. He did a film we covered, which was Source Code.
Yep.
Did Spider-Man the movie from 2002, Castaway, and Forrest Gump.
Yeah, they're the ones I wrote, Castaway and Forrest Gump. I never got any further. I thought them two are massive enough to just live on their own.
Yeah.
I had no further.
I had to mention Source Code because we covered it, and I had to mention Spider-Man because that's one of my favourites.
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man's a great film. Oh, yeah. Some people might consider this a slow starting film as well because it's about 8 minutes before you get any real dialogue, which I honestly didn't mind and didn't realise it had been that long.
I never noticed how long it takes for some dialogue to be said, and you go on like IMDb and it'll be like, it took 20 minutes and you're like, who was counting?
It makes you wonder, do some people just sit and as soon as the film starts, hit a stopwatch? And as there's some words said, they unclick, and then it's like, oh, okay.
And then you're like, oh, if you turn it on there, you'll know exactly what's happening because that's when someone starts talking.
In fact, I'm just looking at my notes, and I don't know if they do spoil it too much. No, like the first fight scene, it's not far from, I think, where we get the first dialogue. It's under the bridge.
Yeah.
And it's just like a lovely silhouette, wide shot, really nice, of Denzel fighting these little thugs and stuff. Eventually, it shows you the number. There's a number on the bridge.
Yeah.
Did you get this?
I haven't noted the numbers.
The number is 14:6, which is in the King James Bible, the apocalyptic verse known as Revelations, which I thought was a pretty cool detail. There's also a bar fight happen at one point, and Eli quotes Genesis, the book of Genesis from the Bible.
Which meant the band.
Yeah, he oh, that'd be such a cool movie. Where there's a guy just quoting Genesis. Now I'm trying to think if Patrick Bateman quotes Genesis in American Psycho. No, he quotes Genesis from the Bible in a bar fight, which I thought was quite funny because that's the chapter of the Bible where God expels Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden.
Right.
I mean, there's some pretty decent Bible references in terms of this movie's theme, like where they're used. It's a little on the nose in a way. I mean, he's called Eli as well, which is a bit on the nose.
Yeah.
But the movie itself, in its title, is trying to give a biblical reference because it's the Book of Eli.
Yeah.
The Bible itself is split into books, don't they say so?
Yeah.
And Eli is also a character in the Bible.
Yeah.
For anybody that'll know, there's a certain relation between the Eli in this and the Eli in the Bible. Something they have in common. I don't know if we should say what that is.
I thought you were going to mention when you were about them sort of references, I thought you were going to mention how some of the blood seems to hit in the shape of a cross.
Crosses. That is really on the nose. Yeah, I'd forgot that. Also, he's like the antagonist of the film. Gary Oldman is Carnegie.
Yeah.
His name is, I would guess, a reference to Andrew Carnegie, who was an industrial philanthropist in the early 20th century who donated a lot of money to have libraries built.
Right.
And I say that because his character in this wants books.
Yeah.
But they're what he's obsessed with, so that's what he collects, and he'll kill people to get them, I guess.
Yeah. Like any person in the apocalypse, it's not about food or drink. It's like, I don't want books. I'll starve.
All caps.
I'll starve. I'll die of thirst, but why I have some books.
Mila Kunis's character, you said she plays Solara, which is very similar to Solaris, which means sun.
Yeah.
As in the sun, not a son as in son and daughter son, but the sun. And Denzel actually shares a quote with her about sun from the Bible at one point, but I haven't noted what the quote was or something.
Ah, well.
And maybe I should have. In terms of notes and trivia for the film, that's all I've written down.
Yeah.
What do you actually think of the film?
I do think it's a good film. I think it's a good, solid action film that will keep you entertained for the 2 hours. I don't think it's a bad film by any means. Like you said, once you know a certain bit of information, it kind of loses that. But I do think it's directed well, and it's a pretty good film overall. It does have a pretty good look to it. It does seem to have dated slightly, but I think it reminds me of those early 2000s or mid 2000s sort of direct-to-DVD movies, similar to the
like last couple of Highlander movies.
Yeah, that last
In a way, yeah.
where you're like on the top of that CGI building or whatever it was.
Or
on
even,
the source.
Yeah, or even something like S. Darko.
Ah, right.
That had a similar sort of weird...
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Sometimes they're just done for a style purpose, but here I feel it is actually part of the story purpose. Like, it is actually part of the theme.
Yeah.
Because the idea is that it gets mentioned somewhere about a nuclear war, which has damaged the ozone layer and let the sun's rays in, which is why whenever anybody's outside, they wear sunglasses.
Yeah.
So I guess it adds to the brightness of the sun.
Yeah.
Being brighter, they're trying to emphasize that, but I also feel there's another element here that I'd like to not share for spoilers,
Oh, yeah.
because there is a change at a certain point.
Yeah.
I think that's when it was obvious it was done as part of the story and theme.
Yeah.
I mean, it's style as well, but it's style with purpose here, I feel. It does add a dated sort of look to it.
Yeah, like I say, it just makes it feel like an early 2000 movie. It's not bad by any means. It just kind of makes it look a bit dated, and that's it, really.
Yeah, but when you think about it,
still
it's
directed
50
well.
years old.
Yeah. And I think it does hold up, like, as a film overall. I don't really have a problem with this. It's a good film.
Because I saw this in cinemas, I associate it as a modern film.
Yeah.
Like a recent film, but once I wrote the date down as 2010, I was like, oh, that is actually quite a bit ago now.
It's probably, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I quite like a lot of this, and I'm glad I watched it again because there's a lot going on in it in terms of theme that's really nice to pick up on.
Yeah.
Compared to watching it for the first time when I was a lot more inexperienced and not looking at films quite the same as I am now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think after you watched it this time, you were a bit more impressed with what it was.
Yeah.
I remember you were thinking, I'm not really looking forward to watching it. I know what it is, but when you watched it this time, you were like, actually, there's a lot of good bits of information sort of put in throughout, and that's kind of worth noting down and appreciating for just...
And the actual, to be fair, at the time of its release, is shot really well, because this is still when we were getting sort of your Bourne Identity shaky kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's what made this stand out. It showed you the fight.
And if I'm right, there is a good amount of blood in this, which is quite nice for a fight, because I like my blood in my fights.
There's no point in having a fight if it don't get bloody.
Yeah, this is definitely worth a watch. I think this will satisfy those people that like your Mad Max films, but I think your general action fan could watch this and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because this is before he was the Equalizer, and he's kind of a similar person.
Yeah.
Oh, I do have another note on this, and I don't know if you have it.
No, probably not.
And I don't know if to share it.
All right.
His character, how is described, like his personality anyway, and some certain things that I don't want to spoil, is very similar to a famous samurai.
Right.
And now I can't read my writing because I wrote that too small. I think I'm saying it right. Zatoiki? That can't be right.
I don't know.
I'll just go to Google. Okay, I got the name of the samurai.
Right.
I could be butchering this. It's Zatoiki or Zatoichi.
Isn't that what you said?
Maybe. And when I say a famous samurai, he's not a real living samurai. He's a fictional samurai. And there is actually a 2003 film, an action comedy about him. No, that's Certificate 18, so I hope that's really bloody sword fighty stuff. I've added that to my list of films to watch.
Nice.
Yeah. Any last thoughts on this?
I am welcome to move on.
Okay. I am Brian.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to move on. So next is...
I will destroy you with my turbo glove, the ultimate weapon against the robot threat. But to be a true hero, you'll have to save your girlfriend.
Hey, what's that in your hand?
It's a comic book.
What's it about?
It's about a turbo rider.
That's rad.
2015's Turbo Kid with a budget of $60,000 and apparent box office of $67,069. I believe the team that directed this went together, RKSS, but that's, I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, Frankius Simard, Anoik Whistle, and Johan Curl Whistle. Have I said the names right? They're the writers and directors of this film.
I think it's Francois Simard, Anu Whistle, Johan Carl Whistle.
Right, and I'm not sure what I said now. But
Yeah,
they
I'm not sure.
direct this film. Munro Chambers plays the kid in the title, the titular kid, the kid. Lawrence LeBeau, how I imagine that's pronounced, plays Apple. I mean, then we've got like a legend here, pretty much with Michael Ironside as Zeus. Edwin Wright plays Skeletron. Aaron Jeffrey plays Frederick, in brackets, the arm wrestler, for added detail. That's not there on IMDb. And Romano Azuri plays Bagu. And synopsis for this from IMDb is, in a post-apocalyptic wasteland in 1997, yep, that's right, a comic book fan adopts the persona of his favourite hero to save his enthusiastic friend and fight a tyrannical overlord. So that's that. It's unusual to have a post-apocalyptic film set in the past of its creation.
Yeah.
So I guess that means the creators no longer see a possible post-apocalyptic wasteland as a possible future, or at the time of release, they never saw it as a possible future. I mean, boy, did they get that wrong. This is also very retrofitted. It's got a lot of 80s synth, so there's a chance that they just set it in the 97, so the 80s. And
I have another theory of the 97 though.
Oh, go on then.
1997 is the same year the Fallout video game was released.
Oh, that is brilliant. That is real good.
I'm not sure if that's why, but that's my theory. And this does have like a video game style to it. So
for sure. I mean, like, he eventually finds what they call the turbo glove.
Yeah.
Well, that's very similar to the Nintendo Entertainment System's Power Glove that they released.
Yeah.
In its design, it's not the same as, but it's very similar to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other video game things in this. I mean, if people look at the poster,
it's pretty a level up, like fist in the air type.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which they did recently in Boy Kills World.
Yeah.
He did a level up fist in the air thing in there as well.
Yeah.
Because that's very video game inspired.
Yeah, so that's kind of similar to this.
Yeah. This has some brilliant, like, 80s references in it, though. There's some Soylent Green references. His cereal has a French name. I can't remember what that is now. I never wrote it down. But translated, it means Soylent Green.
Yeah.
Soylent Green is a satire film from... That might be the 70s, actually, not 80s, but it's a sci-fi film.
Yeah.
There's also a Karate Kid reference. Did you get it?
I haven't noted what the thing is. I do know what you're referring to.
It's... I haven't either, but it's basically what Cobra Kai's, like, motto is, almost.
Yeah.
The Karate Kid film. Strike fast, strike hard. I can't remember now either.
Yeah.
But basically, the character Apple references that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just going to say it now. Strike first, strike hard, show no mercy.
So close.
Yeah, I know.
There's also a character at one point riding a motorcycle, and I think his design is maybe to reference Big Trouble in Little China.
You mean a push bike?
What did I say?
Motorcycle.
Oh, I definitely meant a push bike, because nearly everyone rides the BMX in this riding. This film's production is co-produced by Canada and New Zealand. It's a bit odd. I don't know why it's the two. And it was filmed in Quebec, Canada, which brings me to another point that ended up becoming part of the film's plot.
You're referring to the acid rain.
Yep.
It was raining while they were filming, so they had puddles on the ground and they just tinted those green.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think that was a real smart move. I think it gave this a complete different... It gave it how you feel. Yeah. It could have gone for that traditional, more desert wasteland or wasteland, and no, they were... We get acid rain in ours. I think it really helped.
Yep. Oh, this does open with narration.
God.
I don't think the other two did.
Don't believe so.
Or if it did, I never noted it, but I did for this one, which means I really like the narration at the beginning of this one.
I genuinely really love this film. It's just so fun.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It's so fun, and it's so fast-paced. Like, it's finished before you've even realised it's on.
It's turbo.
Exactly. Just to be able to write a film that, like, is constantly moving from scenario to scenario.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what films do anyway, but, like, this, it feels so constant that...
Yeah.
As soon as there's something resolved, there's another problem. Resolve. Yeah. Problem, resolve.
I think the characters are really well-rounded. Like, you kind of know they are. They're just fun to watch. And then get,
you mean like Frederick the arm wrestler, who's dressed like
fantastic.
Indiana Jones?
Yeah. He is amazing.
Yeah, he's great. Also, the guy that plays Skeletron, Edwin Wright.
Yeah.
He has a role in The Meg, and he's in King Kong, the Peter Jackson King Kong.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't know who he is in either of those. In King Kong, he's just credited as like a stage actor or something, so I think he's like part of the production thing. But The Meg, I think he had a bigger role, but I don't know who he was in it, because I don't remember The Meg.
All right. I'm really hoping you just get a still Skeletron.
Sorry.
Like going around on his little push bike and then blade for hand.
I mean, that'd be pretty decent. Also, the director, Franquis, I don't know how it's pronounced, Simad, he plays the father of the kid in the flashback.
Yeah.
And Johan Carl Whistle plays a bald guard at one point.
On great role.
Yeah. Oh, there's also a thug. I think he's dressed like Jason from Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yeah.
But you said the Executioner.
From Resident Evil 5.
Yeah.
because that's what I think of first when I see a sack on
And that with a sack.
with an eye hole. And I'm sure he had a big weapon, so it just made me think of Resident Evil 5.
I mean, was it just
And the
a
whole,
big machete thing?
it was like
Because
hammer.
Turbo
thing.
Kid ends up with a machete at one point,
Yeah,
and I thought it was his machete.
I'm not sure.
Speaking of a hammer, I mean, this is one of my favourite improvised weapons I've ever seen in some sort of action film. I say improvised, it's really not improvised, but makeshift. Nunchucks made of hammers.
Incredible.
I mean, whoever thought of that was just pure genius in weaponry.
Prop department, we take our hats off to you.
Yep, definitely. That was great. This opens with a John Farnham song, Thunder in Your Heart, which is from a 1986 film called Rad, about a BMXing kid.
I wonder how that's related.
Yeah. John Farnham, also famous for a song called You're the Voice.
Great song.
Yeah, fantastic. It's a good song. It's a really good song.
We'll play out to it.
Apparently a critic described this film as Mad Max on BMX bike.
I think that sounds a lot stranger.
I don't think that really captures what this film is, and sadly the critic isn't shit.
No, you could probably Google that, see what comes.
Maybe. Oh, Apple makeshifts a weapon by taping a gnome to a baseball bat and shouts, "This is my gnome stick," which somebody on IMDb thinks is a reference to Army of Darkness when Ash yells, "This is my boomstick."
Yeah.
It could be, but I feel without Apple's character who's just very enthusiastic and literal,
Yeah.
I think it could also just be her character.
Yeah.
There is a Legend of Zelda reference in this film as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd spoil anything if I revealed what it is and where.
Maybe. I don't know.
But there's a really good part there where the kid finds like a, what is it he falls into? It's almost like a spaceshipy thing, isn't it? He falls through like a weird entrance hatch.
Yeah.
It like just opens up and he drops in, it closes on him.
Yeah.
But in there he finds a character, well, first it's one of them like plasma ball lamps, you know, with the electric in a plastic field and you touch it and it comes to you. It's one of them and he touches it and then the ship powers up. So I don't know if it's supposed to be a lamp or the actual system on the ship with how this film is. I'm assuming it is supposed to be the latter and just looks like the lamp that we all know.
Yeah.
But then he sees that the pilot looks like the guy from the comic.
Turbo Rider.
Turbo Rider, yeah. Of course it wasn't Turbo Man, which is what I was going to say. That's Schwarzenegger. And the Turbo Rider has the glove, like what was in the comic he was reading as well.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I mean, it just adds to the weird wackiness of this film.
The kid seems like me in a post-apocalypse, to be fair. You're going around surviving and he says, I want these comic books. I don't really know what else he's doing for survival. He just gets a comic book.
He has them little rules in his book that he shares with Apple when they meet.
They're great rules.
Rule 1 is always have water.
Yeah.
Was Rule 2 always have a weapon?
Yeah, Rule 3 was if you don't have a weapon, find a weapon or make a weapon.
Yeah. And Rule 4 was ride a bike or something, was it? Or was that earlier now?
Need a bike. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think it was 6 or 7 rules or maybe 8.
Yeah.
God knows.
I think they had 8 because he starts coming up with more to help her survive with him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
The composer on this is Jean-Philippe Bernier, who's also the cinematographer.
Right.
Apparently it's a rare combination. As far as I'm aware, it's a rare combination when they're on the same film.
Yeah.
But if you want composer to director of photography or just director, I guess, which is Michael Giacchino from the Batman, he went from composing to directing that Werewolf by Night, which I know isn't director of photography, but he was director.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's a similar thing, but if I'm right, John Ottman, who did the score for X-Men 2, he's usually an editor for Bryan Singer as well.
Oh, the music for this is very 80s, isn't it? Because it's synthwave, I guess I think it's called, or retro synthwave as it is now.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the music video, which is like a prequel to this by Lematos featuring Paw. I'm guessing it's pronounced P-A-W-W. Or would you say P-A-W? Oh, is it Pause? Okay.
Yeah.
And that's called No Tomorrow, A Turbo Kid Tale?
Yeah.
It's about 9 minutes if you find the full short film. It is on YouTube. In fact, we'll put it in the show's description, this episode's description, yeah?
All right.
Cool. And this whole premise of this film was based from a short film from 2011 called Tears for Turbo.
Yeah.
And the woman that plays his mother in the flashback scene, she's the woman that the Turbo kid's saving in that short film.
You sure?
Certain.
All right.
95%.
Did you look it up?
Nope. I'm just very certain.
Right.
And to see how this film was made from that is just pretty impressive, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the scenarios that happen in that or pieces are directly translated into the feature film, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
I would say watch the film. then watch the short film.
Yeah.
If you're not sure if you want to watch Turbo Kid, maybe watch the short film instead of a trailer.
Yeah.
The cast is different. Designs are a little different, but you get the idea. They've stayed very faithful, I feel, to their original concept.
Yeah.
And to flesh out what was a 5-minute short film into an hour-and-a-half feature is just wonderful to see.
Yeah.
You want to share out else about this?
I really love the action of this film. You mentioned how you like your violence bloody.
Yeah.
Well, this delivers.
It's like really over the top, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
I don't really want to spoil it, like, how it is, but over the top is enough, I think.
Yeah. I will say that the Skeletron character that I really enjoy has like a weird, I think it's a robot hand that can fire like metal cutting discs or a metal cutting disc out of it.
Yeah, he's great.
You're looking at that sort of stuff in this world that Turbo Kid is set in. It's just pretty decent. It's good fun. It's not a film to take serious. It's
more of a comedy, and I like the fact it kind of looks like it could be a kid's film, and then you can watch it, you're like, it depends what violence level.
It's a certificate 15.
Yeah.
So, and I would say that's mostly down to the gore and violence.
Yeah.
You'd have to check IMDb yourselves for language, because I can't be bothered to go do that for you.
No. I'm just going to say it's a great watch. I really loved that film when I first watched, and watching it again, I just probably loved it more.
Yeah, I think this is my second time watching it. I watched it around the time you recommended it to me because you discovered it.
Yeah, I did watch it on Netflix when I
it was on Netflix.
It.
Oh, this is on Prime or Freevee?
Freevee
now, which I don't even think you need Amazon to watch Freevee because it was IMDb TV.
Yeah, I think so.
Moving on or no?
Can do, yeah.
Okay, so now we're into A Boy and His Dog. We're now at 2024 with Fallout.
Vault dwellers are an endangered species. I do not think you would be willing to do what it takes to survive up here.
Fallout 2024, earlier this year.
Yeah, the synopsis for Fallout is, in a future post-apocalyptic Los Angeles brought about by nuclear decimation, citizens must live underground bunkers to protect themselves from radiation, mutants, and bandits. The cast is Ella Purnell as Lucy McLean, Aaron Moten as Maximus, Walton Goggins as Cooper Howard / the Ghoul. I think it's pronounced Moises Arias as Norm McLean, Sarita Chowdhury as Moldava, Kyle McLaughlin as Hank McLean, and he was the overseer of Vault 33. We also have Michael Emerson as Wilzig and Michael Rappaport as Knight Titus. I credit them, they're not big parts, but they're pivotal roles, if you know what I mean, and they're recognisable actors.
Yeah.
And then I wrote 3 comedy actors that I was really pleased to see and hear in this, and I won't say who they play. Matt Berry, Chris Parnell, and Fred Armisen.
I thought you were going to say them.
They are good, though. In terms of this as an adaptation of a video game, I've only played Fallout 3, so my knowledge of the Fallout lore isn't great. This felt pretty faithful to me. I had the humour and the quirkiness. The level of violence when the gunfights happen felt right. The brother that steals like mech armor stuff, what they call it, like the night armor, is incredible. That's actually practical as well. I've seen him on set dancing in it. I was pretty impressed. And Walton Goggins, when he's in all the ghoul prosthetics and stuff to be the ghoul, just looked great. And the ghoul I remember encountering in Fallout 3 was just incredible. But I remember there being a lot more ghouls in the games. But obviously, Walton Goggins is a lead character in this.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm spoiling it, am I, if I say that Cooper Howard is his character in flashbacks? That's established quite early on.
I'm not sure either.
It was established in the first episode. Was it a 9-part series?
8.
Okay. You do have the directors and writers if you want to share them.
Yeah, I'm probably going to start by saying created by is Geneva Robertson Dwart and Graham Wagner write, I think, like 3 episodes. I think.
But then they're credited on all 8 because they created the show, which I was quite surprised about.
Yeah, I was as well. And then executive story editor is Chaz Hawkins. He also writes 1 episode. And the other writers are Kerry Donetto, Kieran Fitzgerald, Carson Mell, and Simran Sandua or something. I can't pronounce it very well. I apologise. And I think Jonathan Nolan directed 3.
Yeah, 3.
And the others were directed by Claire Kilner, Frederick E. O'Toy, Daniel Gray Longino, and Wayne Yip.
Right. I don't really know any of those names, but Jonathan Nolan, he did Westworld.
Yeah, I just wanted to list them just because they do a good job on this.
I think so, for sure, yeah.
I think the whole series looks great. Like you said, it looks very what you get in the games, and
Yeah,
that is brilliant to capture on screen.
Yeah, if anything, from what I would say is this feels a little brighter in colour palette to the games.
Yeah.
But it really doesn't bother me. It just adds to that energy of fun. I think it's to help people get an idea that it's not serious.
Yeah.
Because there is a sense of fun in this. Like, you could just, like, cut somebody's leg off or whatever, and next they'll just whack a prosthetic leg to it in a really quick, gory, comedic fashion. It's like, oh, we're doing this, are we? And it's like, okay.
I didn't notice, but I'm going to trivia on this. Left feet seem to be targeted throughout.
Yeah, I read that on the trivia as well. I was like, oh, okay.
Don't know if that's any kind of spoiler. Like, if anyone's in danger, you stagger like, well, something's going to happen to their left foot. But I don't think it's any spoilery.
Sorry, I just looked up Graham Wagner because he's a producer and writer. Right. I'm assuming he's a writer on these two shows I'm going to read out. He is a producer on both Silicon Valley and The Office, the US Office.
All right.
I'm just trying to find him as a writer. Yeah, he wrote Silicon Valley, and he wrote on The Office as well.
Geneva Robertson Dubois, I only remember she did, I think, Captain Marvel.
Yeah, Captain Marvel and 2018 Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I knew it was too female-led.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say they were great.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Watchable.
Tomb Raider wouldn't be so bad if it had more blood.
You just want bloody violence. That's all we want.
Yeah, but Tomb Raider was, like, really bloodless, wasn't it? Like, noticeably bloodless.
Yeah.
Because, like, if it's well done, I don't normally notice.
Not here to talk about Tomb Raider. We're on another video game adaptation.
I mean, that could be another reason.
Yeah.
That she was brought in for this. So that's if she was brought in. It says creator.
Yeah. Jonathan Nolan, I thought, was one of the head people behind all this.
Yeah, I thought so. But looking at IMDb, he's just the director of 3 episodes, but he's the one going around promoting it.
Yeah.
I think he said about things in the interviews, apparently, about, we're not really in the video games when we write this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame him. He did a great job with Westworld, and especially Person of Interest.
Yeah, Person of Interest, fantastic.
Great worth checking out. I think that's like the second time we brought that up, if not the third. This plot line of the series is very similar to Fallout 3 and Fallout 4's plot, in that a relative or loved one goes missing inexplicably out the vaults in some way, and a member decides to leave the vault to go find them. Walton Goggins' character Cooper, when you see him in his acting life, you see a poster for a film he'd worked on called A Man and His Dog, which is a reference to a boy and his dog, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The area where Vault 33 is in this series is apparently in the same area that you're playing in Fallout 1 and 2.
All right.
So that's why some gamers have said that this isn't canon, because that vault weren't there.
Yeah.
And the creator of them games, I don't have his name, said that, well, we never said it wasn't there either.
Yeah.
We never expected something to come out 25 years later and add it in, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is pretty decent, because I can't remember the name of the studios that developed Fallout originally, but then Bethesda, I think it's pronounced, the game studios came in and they changed it from the top-down view that the original games had to the Fallout 3 that we know, where it's more first-person, third-person view. He's the director of that studio, but he's also executive producer on this series.
Yeah.
And he said that this takes place in the game's continuity.
Yeah.
He said they're not adapting one of the game's stories. It's a story of its own, but it is in continuity, and we're showing the origins kind of thing of that the game's never showed, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
There are super mutants in the games that are quite hard to fight and kill.
Yeah.
I think I made friends with one in Fallout 3.
Yeah, you did.
And they don't quite appear in this, but apparently when you see the Enclave facility, you can see remnants of one somewhere in a lab.
Yeah.
It's not on IMDb's trivia, and I can't remember what the creatures are called. There's like these really like weird feral creature things with claws.
Yeah, Deathclaw or something.
I think it is a cheesy name like that, yeah. It went on IMDb trivia, but I'm pretty sure I've seen people discussing it online, saying that you do see a skull to one of them in an episode somewhere. I want to say the final episode.
Won't surprise me.
Yeah. Apparently, I don't feel it's going to spoil the actual plot for this to share, but the end scene skyline is the New Vegas skyline from Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
Which hints at the next location for Season 2. Or assuming that it does anyway. I mean, it could be a whole new cast of characters for season 2,
Yeah,
which wouldn't bother me.
no, I think that'd be pretty good, to be fair.
I'm just thinking what he was doing with, like, Westworld, how that moved around.
Yeah,
But I haven't watched it all. But I only watched season 1 of the opening to 2.
Yeah.
Well, as video game adaptations go, I think this is maybe my favourite in terms of tone and accuracy.
yeah, it is able to tell its own story, which is a lot helpful in comparison to other video game adaptations where it focuses on more singular characters.
Yeah,
and
I think that's
like that.
because anyway, on the newer ones where it is the Bethesda game studios doing Fallout anyway,
Yeah,
you create your own character on them ones.
yeah,
So I think that allowed them to just go away and do something a little more original like this.
yeah,
Oh, also, they have a dog in this, and I can't remember if it gets named, but in the games, the dogs are often just known as dog meat,
yeah,
which is also a reference to a boy and his dog, because Vic calls Blood dog meat at one point,
yeah,
which is because he could just eat him, basically, is what it's saying, isn't it?
yeah.
I can't remember if the dog did have a name in this, though.
I'm not sure.
It's a really decent, fun show to watch. I would say you maybe promised a good little, like, bloody action shootout every episode, thereabouts.
Yeah,
But it's not just an action, there's a really good mystery behind it, isn't there? With her dad going missing, we don't know why they've taken him.
no,
Because they clearly go there specifically for him.
yeah. And a lot of intersected storylines. They kind of come together quite well.
Yeah, I am a really big fan of the costume design in this, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've nailed the look of characters' costume and how grubby some of the characters look and stuff like that. I love it. Especially the ghoul with his really raggedy sort of sheriff duster and his hat, and yeah, he's great.
He's probably the best character.
Likely everyone's favourite
Yeah,
character.
yeah,
I mean, you've got Walton Goggins, for God's sake, so it's going to be good.
yeah.
He's
great
a really good character actor, and
Yeah,
it's nice to see him as a lead, really. I don't know if he is a lead in this. It's because it's like an ensemble cast, really, isn't it?
yeah,
They're trying to promote it like Lucy McLean's the lead character, but it wouldn't hold if it was just her, I don't think.
no,
And you stripped away, like, Maximus or the ghoul.
yeah,
I mean, even her brother, Norm McLean, played by Moises Arias, he's got a really interesting story, I think, going on.
I don't know. That was kind of the weak part for me.
Oh, see, I really like that because that's where a lot of the intrigue was coming from for me.
I just prefer trekking across the wastelands sort of stuff.
Because she's on, like, a revenge plot, I guess, almost, isn't it? To get the guy that took their dad.
Yeah,
And he stays back at base because no one else really dared go out to the wasteland because these vaults live, like, these strange, sheltered lives
yeah,
with, like, it's all about routine and structure, almost like a cult.
yeah,
And he starts digging into that and finds a mystery there, doesn't he? So yeah, a nice sense of intrigue from it. It's a really good watch. I haven't watched a new TV series in a while, I feel. Although I watched The Bear and that's really good. And I want to start that Shogun and a few others. But this one I just knew I had to watch it because mostly for Jonathan Nolan and really enjoying Fallout 3.
yeah,
The only reasons I never got the later Fallouts was because I didn't want to invest that much time into a game because I invested so much time into Fallout 3 and didn't even get to do everything I wanted. But yeah, I would recommend this TV show. And if you like your post-apocalyptic stuff, or you even just like almost like Deadpool comedy, maybe in terms of the violence, fights.
yeah. They're
I don't know,
wacky,
yeah.
over the top. Not over the top like Turbo Kid over the top, but over the top.
The characters in this are actually quite three-dimensional compared to the sort of humour and the action that you get.
Yeah,
I mean, there's some really good stuff. Like the knights, the people in the big armoured mech suits, they get what's called a squire.
yeah,
And they have to carry this massive duffel bag that's pretty much bigger than them,
yeah,
which is like a reference to like overhoarding in video games,
yeah.
carrying more than you can in reality manage. And I'm not sure if they do that in the video games because I don't really remember encountering any knights and squires in Fallout 3.
No, but carrying a lot of stuff made you more cumbersome or something, so
Yeah,
it come
it
very
slows you down.
over as well. Yeah, kind of reference to that.
So, but that's like really comical in itself, watching them with them big bags.
Yeah.
I'd say it's definitely worth a watch, for sure.
Oh yeah, it was the second most watched title on Prime.
The first being,
Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power.
I thought it was going to be Bosch. None of people watch Bosch.
I thought it was going to be Reacher
Reacher's apparently pretty good at
or Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
No, Lord of the Rings
I mean, Lord of the Rings is good, but I'd rather watch Bosch.
Yeah.
Or Jack Ryan.
or Reacher.
They're just all based
Yeah.
on what are essentially known as dad books as well, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to say any more on this?
It's what made me bring it up for Turbo Kid, but there's a code in this series and it's
Oh.
10-10-97, the year.
Yeah, for that one.
Yep, yep. That's why I twigged when I was making notes and stuff. I was like, hang on a minute.
Yeah. This, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to say it. Might be a spoiler. I don't truly feel it's a spoiler, the title cards to the show, they change each episode.
Yeah.
And it's because they fade out, or however you want to call it, in however a certain character meets their fate.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Which is a nice little touch. I don't feel I'm spoiling anything, am I? Saying that? Or
I don't think that.
I don't feel it is, because I'm not saying who the character is or how. We'll find out as you watch it.
And the show spoiled it itself. It's in the title card.
Yeah, but I don't think you'd realise that first off.
No, I didn't.
I'd say if you're a fan of the games, chances are you would like this.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've only played Fallout 3, but I really liked this and thought it nailed the tone of the games and how the characters are in the games. Because there's some really odd dialogue at times, and it's just great. Because I remember in the games you could have some really stupid choice of dialogue.
Yeah.
I say stupid, it just seemed like it didn't fit or was really naive.
Yeah.
But because she's in a vault and lived a sheltered life, Lucy allows to be able to say these really odd questions. It's like, why would you ask that? But it just feels like part of that multiple choice of questions that you get in the game when you get characters to interact with. And it's the same with Maximus.
Yeah.
He often goes in and says something that could be the most idiotic thing in that situation.
Yeah.
That's just going to escalate the trouble down the line kind of thing. And it's just great.
I think a perfect example of that is, I'm just going to say, Bridge.
What? Oh, yeah, when they encountered two other people on the bridge. Yeah, it's great.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the best example of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that's a wrap, unless there's more.
I just want to say, because you haven't mentioned it, and I thought you would have, because it's Ramin Djawadi on the music.
Oh, yeah, on the music. I never wrote that.
Yeah.
And he's a great composer.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We've mentioned him before, and we think
we often credit him for The Strain and Person of Interest.
Yeah.
I want to say he did Iron Man.
Yeah, he did the first Iron Man. Don't know why they took him off.
He's very versatile, I feel like. You don't always recognise it's him.
Nah, he's a great composer, I think.
Oh, for sure. One of my favourites.
Yeah.
He did that Person of Interest series, and I think I actually have the first two soundtracks for that show on CD. It's rare I do that.
Yeah, I believe you do. That was a great show.
A really good show. It might be worth covering on here at some point. I don't know.
Maybe.
Be a bit difficult, wouldn't it? 5 seasons, is it? 6 seasons? It's 5, isn't it?
5, yeah.
Well, but it's a show really worth watching.
Yeah, let's promote Person of Interest.
Yeah. Maybe we should do a rewatch podcast of Person of Interest. It has been watched.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good, actually.
Just spitballing. That right?
Any other ideas for a show you want to?
Could we do a show where I pitch ideas for movies and then somebody listens and makes them? I haven't got the time to be writing all these ideas that I have. All right?
Believe so. I'll sign us out.
Okay.
So that's the end of the show. Thank you for joining us this week. And if you haven't given us a like and a subscribe, a glowing review would also be appreciated. We are cynic_critique on X and Instagram. Links to those and more can be found in our description. And remember to join us next week as we unearth more gems from cinema's depths. This time lesser known, as we discuss some Jason Tross projects. All Superheroes Must Die and its sequel, The Last Superhero, Out to Save Us, and Wet and Reckless. Thank you.
Goodbye.
I can't wait to introduce you to some of my other friends that you haven't met yet.